little bit about yourself and why you're running for school board.
Sure. I moved to Columbia in 1979, so I've been almost a 40-year resident of the Columbia community. And when I moved here originally, I began working in business in our community. I worked for the Knowles companies for many years. But I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher. So I left the company that I enjoyed working for, went back to school and earned my degree, and in 1996 I started teaching second grade. And Columbia Public Schools has always been a passion of mine since I became a teacher. I never looked back at that career in business, even though I loved that aspect of my life. But since that time, I have been a second grade teacher, an assistant principal, a principal at 2 elementary schools here in town. I've also been the Title I supervisor for the district and worked in the Office of Assessment and Research. And my last position with the district was as the assistant superintendent for elementary education. So I've had a long career with Columbia Public Schools, but also my wife was a teacher with Columbia Public Schools as well. She taught middle school and high school language arts, and then she became the language arts coordinator K-12 for the school district, retired a few years ago. And both of our children went to Columbia Public Schools and were proud graduates of our school district. So I want to continue to be involved with the school district because I believe that we have a really excellent school district in this town. But I know from my experience working with our school district that we have challenges within our school district as well. We have challenges of poverty within our community. We have the challenges of growth that we have to address, the challenges with the attendance areas and making those adjustments, and I've worked with our elementary schools with that. We have the challenges of equity and inclusion within our community and how that affects our schools. So there are significant issues to still address within the school district. I think that my experience in business and in education would be beneficial to the Board of Education because I've dealt with a lot of those issues. I would like to continue to give back to the school district and to our community. I'm vested in the Columbia community and would like to continue that.
If elected to the school board, what will be your top priorities for the district?
I have looked at all of the issues that are facing the school district. One of those, I believe, is communication. Communication is key with every single issue that we face within the school district. When I worked with the attendance area and boundary areas, I learned very quickly that communication with all the stakeholders was so extremely important. So I want to be one of those that will listen to what the concerns are from citizens, from teachers, from groups, help them to problem solve, be able to communicate with those effectively. I also believe that as a board member that my experience brings a balanced perspective to the board. I don't know that anyone else has 24 years in business and 21 years in education to be able to pull on. So I understand a lot of the financial type responsibilities that are ahead for the school district. I also believe in accountability and action for the finances for the school district, and to be able to have strong reserves, but then to be able to critically look at all of those financial pieces for the district and to look where can we cut, change, so that we can afford to pay teachers a salary that is comparable with other districts in our community or in our area and in our state. And then the achievement of students, I think, is number one priority for all of a school board member. If our students aren't successful, we're not successful as a school district and as a community. And we have a very successful community. We have over 45% of the individuals in our community have a bachelor's degree or higher. But while we are a well-educated community, we can't lose sight of those students who don't fall into that traditional college role also, who where trade or technical school would be a great benefit for that. So understanding all of those components that go into helping schools succeed, open communication, financial responsibility, and then focusing on the achievement of students are paramount.
One of the issues the Chamber is advocating for is the ability for school districts to work with the city to create a partnership to transport kids to and from schools. What are your thoughts of this proposal, and are you supportive?
I will say right up front, yes, I am supportive. And when I was the assistant superintendent of elementary education, I went to one of our schools one morning. Now, one of the things that you have to understand is that funding for field trips is not provided for the school district. So that's often up to PTAs or fundraising within the school district. And so every penny counts when they're trying to do extracurricular type activities with kids. So I was at a school one morning, and it is a school that had a bus stop within a block of the building. And the teacher had noticed that it was typically an empty bus during that morning part of the day. And she asked me, can we use the school bus to transport our kids for the field trip so that we don't have to try to raise money for a big yellow bus? And unfortunately, my answer at that time had to be no, because there were legislation that said students have to be on a big yellow bus. And, all of the details that come with that, certified driver, the security of that, all the background checks. So there will be details that have to be worked out. But if we can use services that are already available in our city and can use those effectively and safely with our students, and we can provide other enrichment opportunities for kids by using the bus, I think it's a win for our kids and it's a win for our city.
Tell us one thing the public might not know about you.
I spoke about working in business for many years. One of the things that the public may not know about me is that my dad was military. So I've lived all over the country, and in fact, I've lived all over the world as a young child growing up. But with that, it gave me a very different perspective growing up than a lot of people. We got to experience things that a lot of other families that we knew did not get to experience. And it was a fabulous life being part of a military family. I've appreciated being in the Columbia community now for 40 years. As a child, I was the kid who was in a different school every single year. So when we have those conversations about, well, my kid really likes this school and it is hard for them to move, I'm that kid that had to move every year, and I understand those things that are going through parents' minds and that empathy piece of it, because I was that kid.
In closing, tell us why voters should support you.
I believe that my experience in business for 24 years, and I was in grocery store management with the Knowles Company here in town, and absolutely loved it and loved working in business. But like I said, I always wanted to be a teacher. Once I became a teacher, I never looked back. I kept growing in my profession. But one of the things with my passion for our school district, I know we have a good school district. I know we have a great community. But there are things that we need to address together as a school district and as a community. I believe that my experience with the school board, or with the school district, and with in business gives me a perspective that is unique. And I think that the experiences I've had, I have worked with attendance areas, I've worked with the poverty, I've worked with the discipline within our schools. I've worked with so many of those issues that are still plaguing our school district. I chose to retire at one point, but not to give up. And so I want to stay committed to the school district and to be able to give my time back to the district if I can be helpful.